Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Leverage Your Podcast Show. And today we are talking micro content. And micro content refers to like small bite-sized pieces of content that are easily consumable. They're shareable. They're obviously perfect for social media like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube Shorts, of course. And so, what we're talking about here really are short videos. They're quotes, they're tips, they're infographics, carousels, even audio clips from longer pieces of content. So, if you have a podcast, if you have a YouTube channel and you do YouTube videos, you guest on podcasts, then micro content is really using that to pull out little highlights, those golden nuggets that people can listen to and consume in seconds and digest easily. I always call them snackable bites. So whatever you call it, the big term really, I guess, is micro content or consumable content. So why does it work in the first place, and why should you be paying attention to having to use micro content in your content marketing strategy? So the first thing I want to say is that people's attention span is shorter than ever. So micro content grabs someone's attention quick, right? Imagine when you're scrolling through YouTube, you're scrolling through Instagram, when you see a moving video, it's it stops you in your tracks, right? Especially when you see the captions run across. When you see a carousel, you know that you can get some great tips quickly by scrolling through that. Because again, people's attention spans are really short. So anything you can do to stop the scroll. Micro content is ideal for this. It's quick and straight to the point. Secondly, is it is shareable. So I know when I see a fabulous carousel or a reel in LinkedIn, I am more likely to share it because I think it's like a quick tip that my audience will enjoy. It will serve them and it will be useful for them. So it's just a quick, easy thing to repost and share. Same with quote graphics or a quick tip where you can actually have a takeaway just from the graphic alone. You don't even necessarily need to read the whole status update. You don't need to click a link to go to an article. You don't need to go to a blog. You don't need to listen to the whole episode. It's quick to consume and super easy to share. Using this micro content as well builds consistency. It allows you to create a lot more content with ease without creating new stuff from scratch. And by sharing these bite-sized pieces of content, you're top of mind with your audience. You're always in their feed. And that obviously leads to trust and recognition, brand exposure, visibility, and they will remember your message and hopefully come back for more. Again, I kind of played into that whole repurposing because content marketing, content is king. That phrase is not new, but it can be really hard thinking about new content. What video am I going to create this week? What social media post coming up, you know, with material from scratch? It's hard. So when you already have a video, when you already have an episode that you guested on that went live, it is so easy to take that and pull out those pieces of micro content to have consistent content on social media, your emails, and so forth. And honestly, that content showcases your authority easily. It piques curiosity. It shows you as an expert. And by giving that one little tip, that one small concept, you're seen as a go-to expert. You're seen as the authority in a particular industry, and it showcases you as a solution to very specific problems. And it piques their curiosity, right? It hooks them to want to know more. And seeing you as an expert, and again, as a solution to those small problems and sharing those tips, they're more likely to want to hear more from you, to want to know what else you offer, pique their interest in a specific episode. Ooh, that particular topic interests me. I'm going to listen more and go dive into that full episode, or I'm going to read that blog, or what free resources do they have that I can sign up for? What programs do they have? So it's hooking them into your world to want to know more. And by sharing that content, you're naturally building trust, right? Especially with video where they can see you, get a feel for your personality. And when they're seeing you in action and you're nurturing them with that micro content, it allows you to build that credibility and that trust. And the more you nurture, the more you are able to convert. Now, let's dive into the nitty gritty and talk about how to create this micro content. So, I mentioned grabbing that long form content, right? It honestly, it could be an 8-minute YouTube video that you've done on a specific topic. Again, it can be your own podcast. Obviously, I repurpose and pull out micro content from my own podcast, especially my solo episodes, and as well from episodes and shows that I have guested on. Even if the host hasn't created any reels or clips or a lot of content, I will actually take that raw video or that YouTube video and create my own micro content, my carousels, my quotes, my reels, and YouTube shorts, because again, it's content that I can easily repurpose and it's showcasing me as an expert, and I can use it to segue into call to actions in my offers. One quick tip is not trying to pack too much into that micro piece of content. It has to be one thought that can stand alone. And I'll kind of go into some more tips further into this episode. So you want to think of your content as a movie, kind of like a mini trailer. So the highlight reel is going to grab their attention and share a most impactful moment that was in that episode and that aligns with your audience's pain point or desires. So you're showing them a little clip, a little taste, so that they will listen to that bigger piece of content and engage in a bigger way. And people are visual learners, right? So whenever possible, you want to make sure that you've got beautiful graphics, that you have the video content, the reels, the carousels. You want it to be visually engaging. That naturally pulls them in, catches their eye. So whenever possible, really focus on how it looks as well as to what the content is. And I know I haven't really talked about audio clips. I mean, people are still using them, or audiograms, whatever you want to call them. So, I mean, you can still take 30-second clips or a minute clip from one of your episodes and use that, because people do still want to listen while they're on the go, whether it's the full episode or shorter micro pieces of content. So, you don't necessarily need to discount the audio clips if you don't have that video in order to leverage and repurpose. And think about those pieces that are within your content. Think about quotes that you've said. And again, you can use AI to pull out what are the best quotes from this episode. Think about statistics that you've shared. And then you can create a standalone image or a text post. It's super simple, but super impactful and easily shareable. Now, I'm going to share a few tips here on how to optimize it. And then I'm going to talk about how to get more leads from that micro content, right? So look at your micro content and make sure that it is specific to the platforms that you're going to be sharing it on. So you may have to tweak it slightly, especially the copy for various platforms. So really tailoring that content. So Instagram now, it's not a square image, it's 1080 by 1350, so it's a little bit longer. So making sure that your carousels and your images are that size. And that size, I mean, you can use that on Facebook and LinkedIn as well. It's not like you need to change it to square for it to go on LinkedIn. So it's pretty versatile at least, but I just want to make sure that you realize that the sizing of the images and how it shows up on your grid on Instagram has changed. Instagram really does favor those 15 to 30-second video reels. Yes, it goes up to 60 seconds, but and sometimes you can't pack in a concept within 15 to 30 seconds, right? It can be a little bit tricky, but when you can, do so because Instagram will put that in front of a wider audience more so than 30 to 60 seconds. Reels, of course, do put you in front of a new audience that aren't already following you, regardless. But those 15-second ones really kind of put you in front of a bigger audience, if that makes sense. YouTube Shorts, again, those vertical videos under 60 seconds. Yes, now they go up to 3 minutes, but I don't know. I haven't tested it out fully. I stick to 60 seconds and under. If you're going to do a longer video, I'm like, then do the regular YouTube size that goes in your playlists. That's my opinion. But again, my point here is that you want to research the different platforms and making sure that you are tailoring to those. My other tip, and I kind of alluded to it a few minutes ago, but making sure that you only use one thought per micro content. And that content has to stand alone. In other words, they don't have to have heard, the previous 5 minutes in order to understand the concept. Because some conversations or some concepts build upon itself, especially when it's an interview and you're going back and forth. Sometimes, again, it's like a story, or I don't know how else to explain it, but concepts kind of build upon itself. And if you're pulling a third point, but you really need to understand the second and the first point to get the third point, just be very aware that if you pull out a piece of micro content, will someone that hasn't listened to the whole episode or seen the whole video, will they understand that one piece of content by itself? That is really important. And don't try to cram too much into 60 seconds. You don't want it to be a piece of information and then half of another, or even honestly, two pieces of information. But I mean, if you're giving 3 ways to make a graphic look gorgeous and it's like a quick, don't use neon, don't use too much copy on the image, don't put your logo right at the very edge. That is really quick. So that's where you can pack in 3 quick tips in one reel. But again, just be really mindful of not cramming too much in and making sure that the content can stand alone by itself. And next, again, when thinking about the platforms, you want to think about what relevant hashtags, keywords are going to help you get more visible and exposure with that post. And I know there's a lot of controversy. There's a lot of talk back and forth. Use a lot of hashtags, don't use a lot of hashtags. Hashtags aren't really that relevant anymore. Only use 5. I don't know. There's so many rules of thumb out there. There's so many opinions. Feel free to test. I personally use maybe 5 and ones that aren't, you know, overly used. So you want to be strategic with those. And then with YouTube Shorts, they don't use hashtags as much as tags, which is related to keywords and optimizing YouTube videos because it is different, right, than Google and those keyword rankings. And so you can actually add tags like we use Social Champ for scheduling. So you can use tags to help optimize and get more views and get in front of a wide, just be found easier within YouTube. Now, you want to make sure too that micro content, yes, it's about posting, being visible, um, being top of mind, showcasing your authority, but it's also a way to engage with your community, engage with your following and your audience. Use it to get a conversation going. Ask them what they normally do, or if they've gotten results from it, or if they've had this problem before. And when people do comment, make sure that you're engaging. Double check responses, check your DMs. You want to, again, use that opportunity to build that relationship with the audience and boost your content's visibility through the social media algorithms. The more engagement that you have, the more likes, the more comments, the more likely that platform, especially LinkedIn, will put your content in the feed so that it's more visible. And lastly, when you're creating your content, your micro content, don't just post the content and hope for the best. Use it so that you can convert your audience to leads and clients, right? Use call to actions, whether it's a link to your website, whether it's to listen to the rest of the episode, whether it is to push them to your Facebook group, or even that you have a program to fill or a webinar coming up. So really give them a next step because they will take action. I've had clients that have call to actions in their YouTube shorts, and they've gotten a client from it because that YouTube video hooked them with the right topic at the right time for the right audience, and they reached out and became a client. Same here. I've had content in LinkedIn and it resonated, and people have showed up in my DMs saying, I just saw that post and I need help with that. So always think about, is there a next step? And you're not being pushy and you're not being salesy. And so now this is a good segue, of course, to talk about how to get more leads and clients using the micro content and your call to actions. And I think it's how you think about it, right? Like your micro content is kind of like a mini advertisement for your business. It can introduce your brand to a wider audience. It's building trust. And again, with people not maybe having the time to listen to the whole episode or the whole video, it's an opportunity for them to really see what it is that you do, what problem you solve, and how you can help them. I mean, it's cheaper than the ads, right? And it's an opportunity for you, like I said earlier, to drive traffic to your offers, your lead magnets. And if someone sees an engaging clip, like I just mentioned, where I was talking about exactly this, repurposing podcast guest episodes, and I gave them a tip on how to do it, they reached out and said, "Oh my God, you do this? How can you help me?" Gotten on a call, they became a client. Another great way to use this and segue into a call to action is to really say what it is that you do. Like, hey, I fix this problem for my clients in this program. Type guide below if you want me to send you my worksheets to show you how it's done. Or, type a guide below if you want to learn more about this program and how it can help you, blah, blah, blah. So that is a way for you to start DMing with them, get a conversation going, get them on the phone, and convert them to a lead to get on your e-list so that you can nurture and convert in a bigger way. Now, here's a couple of other tips as well that may not be on your radar. One is to use micro content as a way to test what's actually resonating with your audience. So, let's say you're thinking about doing a new webinar. Let's say you're thinking about creating a new program or a service. Create micro content that is about that problem, about tips that will help them with that problem, and even just kind of understanding their preferences. Again, asking for engagement. So, using that micro content, you can kind of get a feel for what is resonating in the marketplace, what's resonating with your audience, and getting some ideas of how you can tweak that webinar, or should you even create that webinar, right? What if it's a problem that's not really a huge pain point with your client, with your market, and now you know ahead of time by testing with micro content. So super handy. And lastly is using that micro content even for your email list. I've done this for clients where they went through a time where life was too hectic. They didn't have an episode going live that was a podcast. They didn't have an episode that went live. So they didn't really have content to send out to their email list. And so we had to fill some corners. And so I created email content based off of some YouTube shorts that got a lot of traction, or it was starting to get a lot of traction. And so the email was short and sweet. It shared the YouTube short, a really quick way for them to engage in a piece of you, so to speak. And it also allowed her to get more subscribers and increase the views in YouTube. So it's almost like you're getting more win, right? You're getting opens, you're getting clicks, you're creating consistent content. It allows you to get more views on YouTube and improve those statistics. And it can convert them to YouTube subscribers and get more YouTube subscribers. So it's like a triple win. So micro content is absolutely a powerful tool for entrepreneurs who want to maximize their visibility, grow your audience, attract more leads and clients. And so how, of course, I see it as being easier is repurposing and leveraging what you already have to create those bite-sized pieces of micro content. And that's what I do for our clients day in, day out, whether you've got a summit, whether you have a past webinar, a YouTube video, a Facebook Live, a show that you host, or episodes that you guest on and guest appearances, it all can be leveraged and repurposed into micro content that attracts and converts. Now, if you want to grab my free guide and checklist where I share 3 ways to leverage and repurpose guest interviews, obviously you can use that for your videos, webinars, and so forth, to boost authority and attract leads and clients and opportunities. So you can go to leverageyourpodcast.com/guest. So it's leverageyourpodcast.com/guest to grab that guide. And of course, stay tuned for next week's episode of the Leverage Your Podcast Show. Take care.